this is Aaron at Backwoods Guitar. Had some quick questions about a repair we were doing about some distended sides, how to pull them back using the tuner clamps. Explained it on Instagram, and a lot of people didn't understand, so we're going to kind of give you an overview and show you exactly how it works. What the problem is, this is just kind of a mock-up of what you're looking at. Just a couple of sides and guitar top. A lot of the old guitars that have the laminate top and sides, the tops and the backs will come unglued from the sides, so you have to reglue those back together, and ultimately you want all those nice and flush, a flush edge. But with those laminate sides, what you'll end up with will be a lip where the sides will actually go in like that. You need to find a way to be able to pull these sides back out flush with this edge. Well, in my case, I had the top was actually an F-hole top and didn't have a big sound hole, so a lot of times you can go in there with a stick or something and you can push the sides out where they're even and then clamp them up and do it, but with F-holes you couldn't do it. So this is an alternative way of doing that. So what we're going to do is use these, I call these tuner clamps, and they're basically just a regular guitar tuner that's put on a block of wood with a foot cut in it. And this is one that you can buy from Stu Mac, really nice, and I actually made a couple of more for here in the shop for different kinds of projects, different sizes, bigger feet, for different kinds of situations. And in my particular case, I had to use about 3 of these to get the whole corner, this whole about level and even on the sides. So the big question is, how do you pull or push? How do you get these sides together? So what we do is we're going to take a regular guitar string, and I took some little washers and popped a little hole in them. So what we do is you'll take a regular guitar string, usually 9 or 10 gauge, small as you can get, because it's got to be able to fit through these cracks in and out, right? So you take a regular guitar string and thread it through that hole, right, in your washer. So this gives you ultimately something to pull on. This gives you a pulling call from the inside. So now you have to think, how am I going to thread this clamp string, as we'll call it, through this separation, the seam separation, to ultimately pull on the inside of that. So what we do is we'll take another string, thread it through your opening, and then pull it out either your sound hole or your F hole, and we'll solder it to the end of the clamp string, which I've already done to save some time, right? So you just solder the two together, down and dirty, clip the end so it's nice and tight there where you can pull it back up through the side. So ultimately this will be ran up through your F hole, right? Solder it together on the outside like that, and then you can use this string to pull your clamp string through, like so. Right, so ultimately you'll pull it back in here, and this will ultimately, and this is just a little piece of wood to simulate the kerfing that's inside. So ultimately what that gives you on the inside is a nice little call here on the back that this can pull against. And what you're going to ultimately do is lace this thing around this tuner clamp. As you turn your tuner, it pulls this string harder and harder and harder. And whenever you get it going, your top's going to be on that, and you're going to want to kind of get these feet resting on this top, so it will actually pull the side to the top of the feet, right? So the other catch-22 is, once you do that, how are you going to get this string back out? So before you lace all that in there, we're going to take another string, and I call this a pull string or a retrieve string, so you can get this thing back out. And all we're going to do, take this around the ball of your clamp string and just throw it through the ball, and then just lace it through itself like so. So this is, whoops, this is what your end setup will look like. So whenever you pull this thing back through here, it's going to sit in there like so, and you have a retrieval string that's going to either be coming out your F holes or out your sound hole. So, and with that top on there, you can pull it through there like that, and whenever you get your clamps on there and it pulls, you'll be able to pull these sides flush to where you want them. And like I say, with my situation, I was loose all the way through this whole bout, so I had to use about 3 different ones and had to play with the locations, because you gotta kind of have to tune it, because as you pull this side, it may pull this side in different positions or whatever, but you play around with the tension on your different clamps to get everything in line. And while they're there, and I didn't have enough time to like glue the whole spout at the same time, so what I did was I used my clamps, monkeyed around and got them all where I wanted them, and then glued in between my clamps with my clamps and everything. And I've got a picture that I'll post also to show you kind of how the clamping setup went. So I glued in between the clamps, and then the next day I came back in, take the clamps off, take these off, and that leaves you with something that will look like this, right? So what I do to retrieve it, you can come in here and snip this off flush right there, snip that, then you can take your retrieval string and just give one little pull, and it will pull what remains of this back out. So you take all your clamps off, and then you come back in and then massage glue in underneath the cracks where you had your clamps, glue those areas the next day, and then you've got the whole quad all glued up. But that was the main thing I wanted to show you guys. Everybody had a lot of questions on how this works. And the cool thing about the washer, since you're drilling a hole in it, the weight of the washer pulls itself down, right? Because I've done this before, where if you use like regular washers and you put it through the middle, or some kind of a caul in the back that's centered on that ball, whenever you pull it in there like this, see how high that would be. It would want to gouge into the top, and it just doesn't work very good. But this works really well, because that washer automatically pulls itself down out of the way and into the position of where you want it, so that thing will pull nice and even for you. It works really good. But anyway, that's the setup, and that's how it all goes down. If you have any questions, make sure and drop us a line, and we'll get them answered for you.